Let me just start by saying this. I used to think sleep was simple. You go to bed, you close your eyes, and you either wake up feeling rested or you don't. I didn't question it. I didn't track it. I just assumed that as long as I got enough hours, I was doing okay. But over time, things started to feel off. I'd wake up groggy, even after 7 or 8 hours. My mind would feel foggy. My mood would be unpredictable. And the more I tried to fix it, cutting caffeine, going to bed earlier, switching pillows, the more I realized I was just guessing. That's when I started asking the question, what's actually happening while I sleep? And that question led me to something I never thought I'd use, sleep earbuds. Now, if you're anything like me, the idea of putting something in your ears while you sleep sounds more like a recipe for frustration than rest. But I was curious. I didn't want another opinion. I wanted feedback, not from people, from my own body, from the nights I couldn't remember, from the part of me that was trying to speak through fatigue, through stress, through restlessness. So I gave it a shot. And what I discovered surprised me. Because sleep earbuds didn't just help me sleep, they helped me understand my sleep. And once I understood it, I could finally do something about it. So, can sleep earbuds really help with sleep tracking? My short answer is yes. But the real answer, the one that matters, is more layered. Because sleep tracking isn't just about numbers. It's not about having a perfect sleep score or bragging about your REM cycles. It's about building a relationship with the part of your life you spend a third of your time in, but usually ignore. It's about listening to the quiet part of your day that determines everything else. Your focus, your emotions, your energy, your immune system, your relationships, your life. Sleep earbuds for me became a tool. Not a solution, not a fix-all, but a tool for awareness. And awareness is the first step toward real, lasting change. At first, I didn't know what to do with the data. It just looked like charts and percentages. But then I started noticing patterns. I saw that nights where I fell asleep with stress in my chest always led to less deep sleep. I saw that screen time, even when I thought I was winding down, disrupted my REM. And I saw that when I did things right, when I ate earlier, moved my body, and gave myself space to slow down, my sleep wasn't just longer. It was better, more still, more restorative. I didn't just wake up earlier, I woke up clearer. That shift changed everything. Because suddenly, sleep wasn't random. It wasn't out of my hands. It was something I could respond to, something I could support. And once I started thinking that way, I started making better choices. Not because I was trying to be perfect, but because I finally had something real to work with. That's what sleep earbuds gave me. Not just information, but insight. Not just tracking, but perspective. And here's the thing no one really tells you about sleep tracking. It's not just about sleep. It's about who you are when you're not fully awake. It's about the patterns your body keeps when your mind is offline. It's about the truth of how you've been living, revealed in the stillness of night. Because you can lie to yourself during the day. You can say, I'm fine, when you're not. You can say, I'm handling it, when your heart is racing, but your body keeps score. And sleep is where that score gets revealed. The tension you carry, the fear you haven't named, the stress you pretend doesn't affect you. It all shows up. In your movement, in your breathing, in your heart rate. And once you start seeing that truth, it's hard to unsee. But that's a good thing, because the moment you begin to see clearly is the moment you can begin to heal. You don't need to change everything overnight. You don't need to chase the perfect night of sleep. You just need to begin noticing. And that's what sleep earbuds help me do. They help me notice, gently, quietly, consistently. They didn't fix me. They didn't shame me. They just gave me a window into something I'd never fully paid attention to before. And through that window, I started to understand myself in a deeper way. One of the most surprising things that happened when I started using sleep earbuds was how fast the data got personal. like really personal. I remember one of the first nights I looked at my sleep chart and saw that my heart rate had stayed high for almost the entire night. I hadn't even noticed it while I was sleeping. I thought I'd had a decent night. But the numbers told a different story. I had only 15 minutes of deep sleep. My REM was fragmented. My movement was up. It was like my body had never fully let go. And when I looked back at my day, it made sense. I'd had a stressful conversation right before bed. I'd scrolled through news headlines for an hour. I'd gone to bed late, feeling wired but tired. My mind had shut down, but my body was still on alert. That one chart hit me like a mirror. Not just a sleep report, but a reflection of my nervous system. And I realized right then, this isn't about sleep. This is about how I'm living. From that point forward, I started approaching sleep differently. I stopped thinking of it as the finish line of my day and started treating it as the foundation of the next one. I began to notice how the choices I made at noon were still echoing in my body at midnight. Whether I moved or didn't, whether I stayed hydrated, whether I let my thoughts race or found a moment of quiet. The earbuds showed me those echoes in real time. They didn't judge me, they didn't tell me what to do, they just showed me what was. And that was enough. The more I paid attention, the more patterns I found. Nights when I journaled before bed, more REM. Nights when I watched intense shows or responded to stressful emails, more awakenings. Nights when I dimmed the lights and listened to a soft soundscape, better heart rate recovery. These weren't just little details. They were clues, breadcrumbs leading me back to a version of myself that felt more centered. Nashi. And every time I followed those clues, I felt the difference. Not just in how I slept, but in how I moved through the day. I felt steadier, softer, more clear, more present. It wasn't always easy. There were nights when the data felt frustrating, when I thought I'd done everything right, but still woke up feeling off. There were nights when the numbers didn't match how I felt, and in those moments, I had to remind myself, this isn't a performance. This isn't about being perfect. This is about paying attention. This is about building a relationship with my body that includes grace, not just discipline. The earbuds didn't turn me into a sleep expert overnight, but they did give me something better. They gave me awareness. And with awareness, I could make choices. Not because someone told me to, but because I could feel the difference. I think a lot of people are afraid of sleep tracking because they think it's going to stress them out, that it's going to make them feel worse. And I get that. I used to feel that way too. But what I found was the opposite. The more I understood what was happening in my sleep, the less anxious I felt. The mystery was gone. I wasn't just guessing. I wasn't just hoping I'd feel better. I had something real to work with. And that gave me a kind of peace I hadn't felt in years. One of the biggest changes I noticed once I started paying attention to my sleep was how I began showing up differently in the rest of my life. And I don't just mean feeling more rested or having a little more energy. I mean actually shifting the way I responded to life. I started catching myself before I snapped at people. I started having more patience in conversations. I felt more generous with my time, more open with my thoughts, more able to sit in silence without needing to fill it. And I didn't get there through some 10-step routine or new mindset course. I got there by sleeping better. I got there by listening to the messages my body had been sending me all along. And I started with something as simple as sleep tracking through a pair of earbuds. It sounds so small, so ordinary, but sometimes the smallest tools open the biggest doors. I wasn't trying to overhaul my life. I was just trying to understand why I was so tired. But what I discovered along the way was that rest isn't just about sleep, it's about restoration. And restoration doesn't happen by accident. It happens when we create space for it. It happens when we build rituals that tell our body, you're safe now. When we put on a gentle sound, when we unplug from stimulation, when we choose softness instead of strain. That's what the earbuds help me do. Not fix everything, but create space. Space for rest, space for awareness, space for healing. And over time, that space became sacred. I didn't treat sleep like something I had to fit in anymore. I started protecting it, honoring it, designing my day around it, instead of trying to squeeze it into the cracks. Because when I slept well, everything else got easier. My decisions were clearer, my mind was quieter, my reactions were slower. I became more aware of what I needed and more willing to give it to myself. I stopped rushing so much. I started breathing more deeply. I noticed the way light poured into my room in the morning. I smiled more. And none of that was measured on the app. But I knew it was real. The earbuds didn't change my life, but they helped me reconnect with the part of myself that could. The part that was already wise, already intuitive, already longing for rest. And all it took was listening. Not to someone else, not to a guru or a productivity hack, but to my own rhythms, my own patterns, my own breath. That's what sleep tracking did for me. It gave me back the voice I'd been ignoring. So when people ask me now, can sleep earbuds really help with sleep tracking? I tell them yes, but maybe not in the way they think. Because the true power of these tools isn't just in the numbers they collect or the charts they draw. It's in the questions they invite you to ask. It's in the moments when you stop and notice your own rhythm. It's in the small adjustments, the ones that don't make headlines, but slowly start to change your life from the inside out. That's where the real magic is. And if you're someone who's been waking up tired, going through your days half present, always wondering why rest never feels quite enough, then maybe it's not about doing more. Maybe it's about listening more. That's what sleep earbuds help me do. They didn't tell me how to live. They helped me hear how I already was. And from that awareness came clarity. And from that clarity came small changes. And from those changes came something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not the kind of peace that comes from a perfect schedule or an empty inbox, but the kind that comes from alignment. From knowing that your body and your mind are finally walking in the same direction. From knowing that you're not pushing through your days on fumes anymore. You're flowing with a deeper sense of rhythm, grounded in rest, rooted in care. I think we've forgotten how much sleep matters. We treat it like a trade-off, like something we can steal time from to get ahead. But the truth is, the quality of your sleep determines the quality of your life. Not just how much you get done, but how much you enjoy the doing, how deeply you connect, how fully you show up. Sleep isn't a break from life, it's the foundation of it. And if sleep earbuds can help you understand even a little more about that foundation, then yes, they're worth it. Not because they're fancy, not because they're perfect, but because they help you remember what your body already knows. That rest is sacred, that silence heals, that sleep is not weakness, it's wisdom. And if this conversation resonated with you, if it stirred something inside, if it made you curious about your own patterns, your own rest, your own story, then I'd love to invite you into something deeper. On this channel, The Daily Health Shift, we explore how tiny changes can create meaningful transformation. We talk about sleep, yes, but we also talk about breath, attention, nourishment, stillness, recovery, the quiet, often overlooked things that actually hold our lives together. You won't find hype here, you'll find honesty. You'll find real stories, real tools, and real permission to care for yourself in a world that too often tells you not to. So if you want to stay connected to that kind of space, hit subscribe to The Daily Health Shift. Share this video with someone who needs rest, not just sleep, but real rest. And take a moment tonight before you close your eyes to ask yourself one simple question. What is my body trying to tell me? Then listen, the answers are already there. Sometimes you just need the right kind of quiet to hear them. This is The Daily Health Shift. Sleep well tonight. Stay soft with yourself. and I'll see you in the next one.